Namaste, Sarve Mere Vestar. So, no, Osio, all my relatives. Well, it's been a couple days, yeah. 2 days. Didn't do a journal entry, and that's okay. It's okay. Because it's been a day or two of just, I got caught up in the, excuse me, got a little bit caught up in the energy of trying to make it happen, even though, and I've come to realize that was the Scorpio. It was the moon passing through Scorpio for a little while. She's landed in I want to say Taurus. I believe it's Taurus. And now I can see clearly again. Interesting. So yeah, that little transit through there kind of created some cloudiness, and I found myself really doing quite a bit of good saging and so forth, and really just kind of settling back into some Reiki and science of mind, and definitely went and hopped in the pool a few times just to reset the nervous system. Starting to kind of like this cold water therapy. And realizing, that I was in that path, in kind of in that mindset. It's interesting feeling that. And the other beautiful piece of that is all this work, or this, what's the word I want to use? What's the word I want to use? All this work with listening and feeling, and the gift, the beautiful gift that I've received through some relationships helped me kind of hone in on feeling that vibration with other humans, other animals. Like the deer. A deer is kind of like halfway between a horse and a dog, maybe. Maybe not a horse. And I say horse because the deers are extremely sensitive to the energies. Maybe more so than a horse, because a horse will override, where a deer will not override. And why did I say dog? Anyway, a deer well, for any animal to really, really fully trust you, if you don't do the for any animal to, they feed off of your energy. So they're going to mirror it back to you. What is really true and real in the subconscious, not just the conscious. Because consciously, we're saying, well, I'm peaceful and calm. And there are many, many people who are very good at putting on masks and so forth. But underneath those masks, that's what the deer feels. That's what the other animals feel. Now, with some, they will override, because they've been beaten or broken. Let me just think about that word. Broken into submission. Think about it. Is the horse really volunteering? Is the cow really volunteering? Is the dog chained to the doghouse really volunteering for that? In one sense, yes. In another sense, no. It's kind of an and. Or an and, not an and or, it's an and. So, when you can feel and see the little puncture holes, or you can feel the true intention behind the mask that's attempting to be shared, it's like, no, this is not what I want. This is not what I want. This is not what I want. And for myself, I realize there's this, okay, this is the time. It's time to get a vehicle. It's time to, you may not be taking off right away. It's not like you're gonna go off on an adventure or anything. You and your, you and your new ride, you and your new energy, you kind of got to get to know each other a little bit. Now with an iron pony, yes, many times I loaded up the iron pony and it was like, we're getting to know each other. And here we go, Jumanji. I had 45 minutes with her. And then took off on the highway, and she was the best motorcycle ever. Wow, okay, one of them. I've had a lot of favorites. I've had a lot of good ones. Anyway, and I'm feeling that. There's some earth changes being taking place. So, and, cities are nice in their own way. And I can't really call Yuma a city, but it is a city. It's not like a village type city like Demi, New Mexico, but it's not a big city either. And the big cities are, at least what I am hearing and feeling, the big cities are the target zones because they are the biggest energy suckers, so to speak, of Mother Earth. They just mentioned about a volcano waking up underneath a city, like the big city in Taiwan. Philippines is they're moving it. You have, the areas where it is unnatural way of living. It's an unnatural way of living for the humans, for any animal actually. It's just unnatural. We've made it work. We can make it work. But it's unnatural and unsustainable. At least, definitely the way we're doing them now. Anyway. So, for myself, I realized I got caught up in that brain trap, and did my meditations and just kind of flatlined, threw my hands up. Okay, it's your spirit. Well, spirit's like, you need to keep, I wasn't thinking about it. I was going through my little notifications and boom, one of these, the marketplace page comes up because there's these little, things. And I just take a look at what's first in my newsfeed. That's what I'm supposed to pay attention to. Once or twice, every once in a while, I'll do maybe a little scroll thing, but usually I pay attention to that and I go in and I do my little things and I don't get caught up in hanging out, so to speak, in Facebook unless there's specific things that I'm looking up for. It's just the way I work. There are times, we all do it, where I get the scrolling thing going on, where somebody comes up in my awareness and I'm like, oh, I need to check on so-and-so. Need to check on so-and-so. Hey, how you doing? And then I answer comments and questions or whatever, and then it's on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. Because I'm kind of in a school right now. It seems to be a self-made school with geology and astrology and I've a little bit of the prophecies, but I've kind of gotten, most of the prophecies are pretty congruent, very, very congruent, no matter if it's a prophecy from the east, the south, the north. They all have their own way of sharing it, but it's all pretty congruent. And the signs, well, check out our little interstellar visitor coming in. Hey, this is stuff you can't make up. Yeah, you can't make it up. And the energies that it's not like a doomsday. Well, depending on whether you're listening and working with and paying attention to Mother Earth, the Mother, the Creator. And for myself, it goes back to the make today a good day to live and make it a good day to die. So I haven't got much sleep this evening. did my surrender. I've also noticed that I go from this space of like hyperactivity, like I just hyperactivity, and then that quickly I catch myself in space or in a deep feeling, listening, but yet not even really sure half the time. It's almost a blank mind. It's just kind of a feeling. And then I come out and there'll be some images or impressions or I hop right back into whatever I was doing or being at the moment. But what really came to me once I did I opened up and I was going through and boom, like that's the vehicle that I want. That's the vehicle that will work. That's the vehicle. Yes. Now, it's not like it's brand spanking new, and it's not like it's got like close to it. You might have another 50, if you're lucky, 100,000 miles if you keep the maintenance up, older vehicle that will work. I have no idea how it would even possibly happen. And that's not my job. And that's what I have to keep reminding myself. And that was the message that I received. No, that's the old way, so to speak. That you're guarding, to make it work. I know how to do that. I'm a master at that. I'm better than that. I'm claiming that. I know that in my heart. This whole thing began. From my memory. Is it will all be given unto you. And yes, I would have a lot of lessons. A lot of things to work through. Claim my power. Claim my worth. Claim my truth. Transform it from this shit to this. From this shit to this. I have been plopped down into so many pits. Knowingly, willingly. I own that. Because that's one of my gifts. And then I heard it would all be worth it. many, 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 many different ways. However, I heard very clearly this time would be different. So I found myself getting in touch with that throughout this week. That's that Scorpio energy. That's why the Scorpio energy came back in, was to remind us of our pattern and seeing the pattern, seeing the lessons. And I seen them, and I'm like, oh, no, I recognize that one. Oh, no, I recognize that one. Oh, no, I recognize that one. Oh, I see you coming up. We're not even going to go there. Not even going to entertain it. So here, here I am thinking, okay, I'm being told to get this, to have it staged, to be ready and start, working the process out, so how everything's gonna fit, work out, and all of this and that. And I've got my satellite dish, I've got my computer, I've got all the tools and pieces that I need, at least that I am aware of at the moment. And it's not necessarily that I'm going to be taking off and going anywhere right away, but it's the preparedness. It's not fear. It's being prepared. It's being aware. And just allow you that the intention is set, the breadcrumbs are being laid out, just flow along with it, and it will work. And so, and then I'm also not a stranger of, okay, how's this gonna work? I know how to walk these lines. I've walked them so many times. Have I fallen off once in a while? Hell yeah. But you get right back up. Sometimes it feels like a failure, but it really isn't. It really isn't. So, the emotions are all part of working through it too. I had someone share, about the tears and the when, and there's all kinds of tears. If you can't get my humble, and I don't even know if that's the right terminology, in my humble opinion. What the hell does that really mean? But in just my opinion, expressive emotion, now, destructive type of emotion, expressive emotion, but tears of gratitude, oh my God, bring them on. Tears of sadness, well, yeah, that's okay too. When you get caught up in it, and it's just a reoccurring thing, okay, maybe there are those who, I recall being at the Oneness University, and there would always be these particular ones that would just and the guides, after, you know, they could pick them out too. But here's the cool thing. There was no response. If you were laughing your ass off, there was no response from the guides. You were bawling your eyes out, screaming, no response from the guides. And the reason being is sometimes those things can be used as attention getters. And so if it's the same thing over and over and over and over, I remember being one of those. Yeah. It was like there would be some type of a accident at least once a year. And I would get attention from, attention aside from, did you, get your homework done? Your chores are done. And would you go make peace between your brother and sister? I was the good one. I didn't need all the fussing over and attention and assistance with home. I've never had homework. I got my homework. I never had homework. I never really had homework. I got all my schoolwork done in school. Anyway, so I was the good one. My brother got, he was the only boy. My sister, she had a lot of medical issues. So there was always dynamics going on in those two worlds. And then fighting between those two. I was just kind of like, I don't belong here. And yet, like I said, they were good people. They were good people. I loved my family in a very divine way. And it was not like it was bad. That'll be another story. Anyway, so that attention thing, well, I can spot those a mile away now too. Not that I didn't spot them before. I recall this relationship period. I recall and things being done to get a response or a reaction out of me. And I remember asking once, it's like you do this on purpose. And that little smirk, yeah. And I remember asking, or him sharing, because of this particular reason. Well, when it continued to happen above and beyond that, and not for those reasons, it's like, So it was like this person studied me. Oh yeah, very well. Studied me very, very, very well. Very good studier. and began using it in other ways. And then I caught on to that. And yet, at the same time, I felt this struggle, this conflict inside this person. Of course, it was also a mirror. Certain things, my mom would set me straight on that one. I would share with her what was going on. We would talk every Tuesday night, and I would share with her what was taking place. And she would remind me which baggage was mine and which baggage was his. And I remember a few times her sharing I would done shot him and left him on the side of the road. It's a good thing I'm not the one traveling. That's not me. But Spirit knows, I will say, I know how to put myself, or it's like I planned it for my life, put myself in situations where I can't get out of. I must learn the lesson. There's no getting out of there until I learn the lesson and alchemize it, whatever, transmute it, however you want to term it all, or whatever the terminology is. Doesn't matter. It's all the same. It was quite a lesson. The sadness, these are sadness tears. These are sadness tears. And the sadness is the grief, I guess. It's more of a grieving. And so, with that grieving, and with the, oh, I can see you now. I can see you now. And I really appreciate it, because that means I'll see it again, if I see it again, when I see it again. I can see them coming now. I've also learned a few other things about myself in the past 2 days. And that one I'm keeping that one to myself for a little while. And then, okay. So, I'm gonna go check out this other vehicle. I don't know. Got a feeling about this one. So, it may not be the like one, However, there's just something really super intriguing about it. And it'll give it a little adventure. I'm sure there's something for me to learn. It's either that or I just head down to the river and stay away from a lot of humans for a little while. I don't know, I'm gonna see how I feel, but I'm going to, what I consider over time for myself, I want to keep these kind of shorter so that it makes it easier to get them loaded up. See, my vehicle lesson for the week. It's really interesting, kind of fun too. And a big shout out to my sisters, my grandmother's sisters. And all relation sisters are my fire sisters.